I don't know when Ethan left. I brought up the divorce with him a few more times on WhatsApp, but he ignored me and didn't come looking for me. Clearly, he chose to deal with this situation by stonewalling me. But the infidelity was like a thorn stuck in my throat. It couldn't be ignored or wished away. I returned to the university and quickly went abroad as an exchange student. Just a few days later, the gossip circulating online about Ethan had transformed into devoted secretary, united with Mr. Ethan after 3 years of mutual support, finally achieving their happy ending. The writer was clearly not from the upper echelons of society. They had no idea that the real Mrs. Hayes was the little princess Ethan had recognized and patiently nurtured since he was a child. The online tabloids began openly referring to Stella as Mrs. Hayes. Ethan didn't clarify, and I didn't press the issue. The Who used to smile warmly and call me his wife. That man died the moment he openly acknowledged his relationship with Stella. I threw myself into my studies, completing my bachelor's and master's degrees in 3 years. During those 3 years, Ethan and I barely communicated. Yet, I was never short on news about him. That's because the handsome and wealthy Mr. Ethan would hit the trending topics every few days. The faces of the women he supposedly played around with constantly changed. Today it was some third-tier celebrity, tomorrow some international supermodel. Occasionally, when reporters caught him, he'd reply with a good-natured quip, "Don't write nonsense. We're just friends." Only when Stella was mentioned would he simply smile without speaking, neither confirming nor denying. At first, seeing these rumors still made me inexplicably sad. But as the sadness faded, I gradually felt nothing. At the end of my first semester abroad, Ethan finally called. "When are you returning to the States? I'll pick you up at the airport." His tone was calm, as if the half-year of estrangement and emptiness between us had never existed. "David and Susan are coming to spend the Christmas and new holiday with me." At this point, I wasn't confident I could face Ethan with composure. I was afraid I would break down in front of him, and I was afraid to face the man who was now a complete stranger to me. The of the past decade was too good, which only made the current Ethan seem even more despicable. I didn't know which one was the real him. I only knew that no matter which him it was, I needed to completely break away from him. "Sophia, enough is enough. All these years, whatever you wanted, I tried my best to give you. And I was just philandering, can't you be a little more understanding?" I had been a little sad, but now I was so angry I laughed. "Ethan, I can't be." 3 years passed, and my time studying abroad ended. I still couldn't be understanding. But I had found the courage to confront him, and I was mentally prepared to face all the consequences of separating from him. Ethan stopped smiling. He slammed his glass down with a bang, then glared and warned Marcus, who was still holding my arm. "Marcus, this is between Sophia and me." Under his piercing gaze, Marcus stood firmly by my side. "Ethan, from today on, Sophia's matters are my matters." Marcus, who had seemingly vanished from my world the moment Ethan confessed his feelings, now burst back into my life with an overwhelming force that allowed for no refusal. He grabbed my arm, and I turned and ran with him. Behind us, we heard the clatter of tables being overturned. But we kept running, without stopping, all the way to the parking lot. As the car pulled out onto the main road, I clutched my pounding heart. "Marcus, thank you for bailing me out." I hadn't seen him up close like this in a long time. Meeting his gaze now, I realized he had become even more handsome and charming over the past few years. His deep eyes gazed at me, and I felt a momentary trance. The air in the car seemed to solidify. I clearly heard my own heartbeat and his breathing. A horn blared behind us. The light had turned green. He returned his gaze to the road ahead. "Sophia, you and I, there's no need for thank yous. Your matters are my matters, always have been." He spoke softly, and my tears, without permission, blurred my vision. When I got home, David and Susan were still there. "Dad, Mom, I'm divorcing Ethan tomorrow." My father's mouth moved, but my mother shot him a fierce glare. He flinched, not daring to offer any opinion. My mother nodded. "Go ahead and get divorced. When you were abroad, out of sight, out of mind. Now that you're back, he'll eventually bring those women right under your nose." I didn't tell my mother that just now, right before my eyes. He had been embracing and kissing another woman. And then he brazenly told me she was his girlfriend. The next day, I returned to Vance for work. David hadn't been well these past 2 years, so I was back to take over the family business. Before the meeting, I messaged Ethan. "Mr. Ethan, let's set a specific time for us to get divorced." We were both busy, so communicating by message saved time and effort, and avoided unnecessary conflicts. But by the time my meeting was over, he still hadn't replied. I called him directly. He answered quickly. "I'm on a business trip." The divorce had been brought up suddenly last night, and Ethan was swamped with work, his schedule already packed, which was understandable. "All right, check your schedule and let me know a convenient day for us to go through with the divorce." Ethan was silent for a few seconds. "Did say something to you?" I chuckled lightly. "Ethan, divorce is between you and me. It has nothing to do with anyone else." I didn't even mention Stella or those other mistresses. A man's infidelity is his own subjective choice. Blaming the other women is pointless. After all, we had grown up together, and I wanted to preserve some dignity for both of us. Love is not a crime. Neither is falling out of love. "Sophia, is divorce the only thing we can talk about?" I could almost see him gritting his teeth. "Yes, apart from divorce, we have nothing to discuss." Did he think I would confide my longing for him? I heard his heavy breathing through the phone. "Sophia, I'm doing this for your own good. You can't afford the cost of divorce, and I can't bear to let you go." I laughed. "Are you threatening me?" He was silent for a moment. "Sophia, be good, don't be stubborn. When I get back, we'll discuss our wedding plans. If you don't like that woman, I'll send her away. And I'll handle your company's affairs for you." Over the past 3 years, besides completing my studies, I had also been learning to manage company affairs remotely. The company's situation was indeed difficult, but the hardest part was over. When he didn't get a response from me, he uncharacteristically pleaded. "Sophia, think about our relationship of over a decade. Let's stop fighting and live a good life together from now on, okay?" I wondered how he had the nerve to bring up the past and suggest we live a good life together. The moment he embraced Stella, my good life with him was shattered, gone, over. "Mr. Ethan, you and Stella can live a good life together. I wish you both well. Just let me know the confirmed date. I'll be waiting for you." I hung up and immersed myself in my busy work. Thanks to several years of remote management, I quickly got the hang of the company's affairs. Within a few days, David stepped down, content to rest at home. Time flew by, half a month passed in the blink of an eye. Ethan was either on a business trip or unavailable, and our divorce had yet to be finalized. But he had certainly thrown a lot of wrenches into my business dealings, making my already hectic schedule even more overwhelming. At noon, Marcus came to see me, bringing lunch. I was typing up a proposal on my computer and didn't have time for him. He poured a bowl of soup and placed it in front of me. "Have a sip first to warm your stomach." I glanced up at him. How thoughtful. "So if I keep being busy, are you planning to feed me?" He ignored my joke. A moment later, a spoonful of delicious food was offered to my lips. "Sophia, open your mouth." My face instantly flushed. "No, I was just kidding." I didn't know whether to eat or not. He didn't say anything, just put the food directly into my mouth. "What's the big deal? I fed you plenty when you were a kiddo." As I ate the delicious meal, my heart was filled with mixed emotions. Suddenly, I realized that in those beautiful memories of my youth, besides Ethan, there was also Marcus. When I sprained my ankle, Marcus would carry me. When I had my period, Marcus would thoughtfully prepare heating pads and herbal tea and secretly put them in my backpack. "What are you thinking about? Focus on eating." Marcus was about to feed me again, but I took the spoon and started eating myself. "This restaurant's food is good. Where did you buy it? I'll have Stella order from there next time." Marcus's eyes lit up, and a hint of deep affection appeared. "Just tell me what you want." I was a little surprised and looked up at him. "You made this?" His eyes were deep and beautiful. "Yeah, I tried making it." "You're amazing." Knowing it was Marcus's cooking, my appetite improved, and I graciously ate every last bite. Then, I was stuffed. Marcus took my hand and pressed the pressure point on the hand, for indigestion, on my finger joint to help with digestion. Marcus used to press it for me often when I was a kiddo. I felt a bit better and comfortably closed my eyes, remaining still. "What are you two doing?" Ethan's icy voice came from the doorway. We both looked over. Marcus was perfectly calm, still holding my hand. "Sophia ate too much, I'm pressing an acupoint to help her digest." Ethan walked in, his face cold. I looked at him with a cold stare. "Mr. Ethan, do you have time to get the divorce done now?" Ethan's face was like frost. He glanced at Marcus, then stared at me and said, "Sophia, since you want to get divorced so badly, let's go now." I immediately stood up, using his words against him. "Let's go now. Anyone who doesn't is a chicken." Ethan's expression was complex, as if he was struggling. "It doesn't have to be right now. We can't go empty-handed." I patted my backpack for him. "Don't worry, all my documents and papers are in my backpack." Ethan was caught between a rock and a hard place. He told his assistant to go back and get his documents. Since I voluntarily gave up property division, the process was very quick. An hour later, I received the divorce cooling-off period notice. At the entrance of the county's office, Ethan said to me with a somber face, "Sophia, I'll give you one more chance. As long as you move into my house now, we won't get divorced. And all of Vance's problems will be solved." Even at this point, he still thought I was playing hard to get, that I couldn't live without him. Dream on. "No, thank you, Mr. Ethan. Goodbye." I turned and walked a few steps when an email came in on my phone. I opened it. There was no text, only a picture. It was a pregnancy test report for 12 weeks. The sender and the person named in the report were both Stella. I forwarded the pregnancy test report to Ethan casually. Rapid footsteps chased after me, and my arm was grabbed. "Sophia, listen to me, I can explain." He looked anxious. It was the first time I'd seen him so flustered. The baby was her way of entrapping me. "I'll make her get an abortion right away. My child can only be born by you." "Ha!" I sneered. "Ethan, you want me to have a child for a disgusting scumbag like you? You don't deserve it." The moment my words fell, I was pulled into a familiar embrace. It was Marcus. "Ethan, you say Stella entrapped you. Did she cast some kind of spell on you to make you stay with her for so many years?" Ethan glared at Marcus, his face dark. "Marcus, don't meddle in what's between Sophia and me. I'll explain Sophia's misunderstandings and grievances to her. You're an outsider, don't cause trouble," he said, reaching out to pull me towards him. Marcus shielded me behind him, his expression sharp. "Ethan, I told you, if you treat Sophia well, I will bless you both. If you don't treat Sophia well, then Sophia's matters are my matters." Ethan's eyes burned with anger. "Marcus, you think I don't know what you're thinking? Sophia and I aren't even officially divorced yet, and you're already hugging her right in front of me? Do you think I'm dead?" Marcus's eyes were cold. "Ethan, what about you? For the past 3 years, you've been flirting with your mistresses. Did you think Sophia was dead?" After finished speaking, he quickly turned his head to look at me. I smiled at him. "Don't worry, I let it go a long time ago." Marcus ruffled my hair, just like he did when we were younger. "Good, let's go get some ice cream." We spoke to each other as if no one else was there, and turned to leave. Ethan's exasperated voice came from behind us. "Sophia, if you still want to save Vance, turn back now, and I won't hold this against you." I turned my head and smiled at him. "Mr. Ethan, bring out whatever dirty tricks you have. We haven't officially gone head-to-head yet. The outcome is still uncertain." After I finished speaking, I hooked my arm through Marcus's and walked towards his car. "Sophia, don't think you can win against me just because you have Marcus backing you up. We'll see." I ignored him and got into Marcus's car. As drove, he cautiously observed my expression. I smiled reassuringly. "I really have let it go." Marcus hummed in acknowledgement. At a red light, he handed me a box of chocolates. "Want some?" I had eaten too much at lunch and was still quite full. "No, I'm still full," I said, rubbing my stomach. Marcus, who had been a bit worried, chuckled. "Then don't eat the ice cream yet either. I refused. No way. I've been craving that ice cream ever since I went abroad. I've been too busy since I returned to the States. Today I finally have a half day off, so I absolutely must have it. Marcus tsk'd and gave me a helpless look. You can have it, but walk 2 kilometers first. Deal. For the sake of ice cream, I, usually so lazy, was forced by him to walk slowly in Sterling Park, across from the ice cream shop. The park required an admission ticket. Marcus asked how much it was. The attendant said, a family of 3 packages $12. I wanted to explain, but Marcus chuckled. For now, it's a family of 2. The attendant said, oh, a couple? Then it's $10. Marcus smiled and scanned to pay. I muttered, we used to pay $5 for 3 people. When I was a kiddo, Marcus and Ethan often came here with me to play. Marcus ruffled my hair again. You don't think about it, you're a young lady now. Indeed, a young lady, and a divorced one at that. We walked into the park side by side. I pointed to the carousel not far away. Marcus, look, the carousel is still here. Marcus looked at me with a smile. Want to ride? It wasn't a weekend, so the park was mostly empty. I was eager to try. Marcus went to buy tickets. We walked past horse after horse, and finally, he picked a white horse, and I picked a rainbow-colored flying horse. After getting on the wooden horse, I suddenly remembered something. Marcus, there's a photo in our family album from when we were kids. I think you and I were riding these exact 2 horses back then. Marcus's eyes were smiling. I thought you had forgotten. The carousel started to spin, playing the same children's songs from my childhood. Sitting on the wooden horse, many happy memories from my childhood seemed to flood back. Sterling Park hadn't changed much in over a decade. After the carousel, we went pedal boating. The boat was pedal-powered. Marcus told me to sit and enjoy the scenery while he took on the role of boatman. He also bought a pile of my favorite childhood snacks while I went to the restroom. I ate snacks and excitedly watched the scenery by the lake. From time to time, I'd excitedly exclaim, Marcus, look, those elephants are still there. But why do they look so much smaller? Marcus smiled at me. Because you were a kiddo back then, and now you're a young lady. We played all the games I used to love in Sterling Park. It was quite a workout, but Marcus kept feeding me snacks. He took many photos, of me happily on the wooden horse, of me leaning over to play with the water from the boat while eating snacks. There were also photos of him and me laughing heartily with our arms around each other's shoulders. He chose to post all of these on his Instagram feed. And I was completely oblivious. Leaving park, we happily went across the street to get ice cream. A person's greatest happiness is being able to joyfully be a child again, even as an adult. Today, I not only partially escaped the bitter sea of marriage but also relived my childhood. When buying ice cream, I rushed to pay. I handed the ice cream to Marcus. Marcus, thank you. Marcus took it. I licked my own ice cream. And thanked myself too. Finally, I had the courage and ability to break free from this unhappy marriage. Marcus understood everything and just gently ruffled my hair. He smiled softly. After this ice cream, every day will be sweet. We strolled down the street, eating our ice cream. My phone rang. I answered. Sophia, are you that impatient? We're still in the divorce cooling-off period, and you're already giving me a cuckold? I giggled. Ethan, this is giving you a cuckold? Then the cuckold I wore for 3 years is permanently fixed. How will you compensate me? In the past, I was too lazy to argue with him, and my own capabilities weren't enough to contend with him, so I chose to lay low and stay far away. I had to make myself stronger first, to be able to confront him. Of course, if I had insisted on divorcing him then, risking the complete decline of the Vance family business, it wouldn't have been impossible. David and Susan loved me dearly and would have supported me unconditionally. But I couldn't bear for David and Susan's life's work to be destroyed because I encountered a scumbag. So, I chose to retreat for 3 years. Now, I wouldn't say I'm invincible, but I have the confidence to go head-to-head with him. Ethan was instantly cowed by my words. Sophia, listen to me, I had no choice. No choice? I coldly interrupted him. It's nothing more than you cherishing my youth and not wanting to touch me, while also being an adult man with normal needs, those kinds of reasons. Marcus looked at me in astonishment. Ethan, on the phone, also seemed surprised and at a loss for words. Sophia, I couldn't be bothered to waste words with him. Stop with the I. I'm hanging up. My mood had been good, but his call ruined it. I put away my phone and, huffing, dragged the still shocked Marcus. Let's go, home. Marcus remained silent, dropping me off downstairs. I told David and Susan about the divorce. They turned their heads, secretly wiping away tears. I hugged them. Dad, Mom, it was my fault for misjudging him, for not seeing his true colors for over a decade. I'm sorry for making you suffer these past few years. Our family, though not as powerful as the Hayes or Marcus's family, was still a prominent family in Sterling City. But's undisguised philandering over the years was a blatant insult and contempt towards David and Susan. My mother gently stroked my back. Sophia, it's because David and I weren't strong enough that you didn't have the confidence to fight back against him. David also choked up. I know, Sophia, you endured it and left for 3 years for the company's sake. I pushed them away gently, my eyes red. Dad, Mom, don't worry, I'm confident I can fight him this time. You don't need to worry about me. David patted my head. Sophia, Marcus is a good kid. If you have any problems, you can talk to him. I first nodded. I know he's good. He's like a brother to me. Then I shook my head. But I won't use his family's power for anything, because that would be no different from relying on the Hayes family before. I want to use my own strength to go head-to-head with Ethan, so I won't be controlled by anyone ever again. Though and Susan were heartbroken for me, they understood that I was right. If Enterprises hadn't been overly reliant on Hayes' support in the first place, I wouldn't have had to swallow my pride for 3 years, letting Ethan disrespect and walk all over us. That evening, I arranged to meet Stella. Miss, you've been with Ethan for so long and haven't even gotten a title. I truly sympathize with you. Stella's face turned green. I also sympathize with you. You've been married to Ethan for so long, and he hasn't even touched you. I smiled nonchalantly. Luckily, he hadn't touched me, otherwise, I'd be disgusted. Miss, you don't need to be so hostile towards me. I'm here to help you. I showed her the divorce cooling-off period notice. Stella looked at me in disbelief. Are you really willing to divorce? I smiled and nodded. You said it yourself. He won't even touch me. What's the point of staying married to him? This, of course, wasn't my true feeling, but right now, I needed to enlist Stella as an ally. The important thing was to appease her hostility, not to reveal my true feelings. Stella was half believing, half doubting, but I didn't say anything more about myself, only stating, it's no use telling me about your child. You should find a way to let Ethan's parents know you're pregnant. I was certain that Ethan would cause trouble during the divorce cooling-off period, and a pregnant Stella was the best pawn to constrain him. Uncle and Aunt came to my house the next day, begging me to give Ethan another chance. I didn't say yes or no, just waited for Stella's show to begin. Stella proved to have some brains. She had been by Ethan's side for so many years, getting information on his family's whereabouts was easy for her. 3 days after our meeting, she went for a prenatal checkup and coincidentally ran into Uncle and Aunt, who were at the hospital for routine checkups. Ethan was almost 30, and his parents had been relentlessly pressuring for grandchildren, their desire for grandchildren boundless. Now, hearing that Stella was pregnant and that I was determined to divorce, they thought it over and came to my house again. This time, the elderly couple came to offer a sincere apology. Sophia, we are so sorry. It's our fault for failing to properly raise Ethan, allowing him to become so reckless. But is pregnant, and the baby is innocent. Uncle and Aunt hope you can forgive us and fulfill our wish. I had no feelings left for Ethan, so forgiveness was irrelevant. But David and Susan's suffering over the years couldn't be in vain. Uncle, Aunt, I only ask that Ethan publicly apologizes to David and Susan and me on his official social media account. Uncle and Aunt repeatedly said, it's only right, it's only right. You've been wronged these past few years. It was more than being wronged. It was a profound humiliation. Not long after Ethan's parents left, Ethan arrived. I didn't let him in, only had him wait for me in the garden. When I saw him, I was startled. He was no longer the handsome and refined man I knew. He looked disheveled and utterly dejected with a scruffy beard. He eagerly reached out to take my hand. "Sophia, we've loved each other for so many years, how can you bear to abandon me?" I dodged him, calmly saying, "Ethan, don't blame your mistakes on me. You betrayed our relationship, you abandoned me first. The moment you became intimate with Stella or any other woman, it was over between us." Ethan's eyes were bloodshot, glinting with ferocity. "Sophia, you're determined to divorce me, even if it means becoming my enemy?" I nodded. "Yes, no matter what happens, I am determined to get this divorce." He gritted his teeth. "Sophia, you're a sheltered young woman. What do you have to fight me with?" I shrugged. "Who knows? Maybe luck?" He pointed fiercely at me. "Fine, I'll wait for you to come begging on your knees." Stella's entanglement didn't affect Ethan's tactics against me, but I was already prepared. In the first round, Hayes aggressively joined a bidding project that my company was involved in. Vance was naturally at a disadvantage compared to Hayes. Hayes even offered a lower price than my company. Everyone thought Vance would definitely lose. But on the day of the bidding conference, I unveiled my ace in the hole. My company owned a patent for a new technology, and using this patent would allow us to complete the project with higher efficiency and quality than traditional methods. Without a doubt, I won. Ethan and I met at the hotel entrance. Ethan's eyes were burning with fire. "Sophia, you just got lucky." But such luck came again and again, fortune repeatedly favored me. I clashed with Ethan 3 times, and all 3 times, for similar reasons, he lost and I won. On the last day of the divorce cooling-off period, I appeared at the hotel where Ethan was signing a contract with a partner. I told his partner, Mr. Hayes, "I have a more perfect solution and a more professional team. I wonder if you would be willing to give me half an hour?" Ethan glared at me through gritted teeth. "Sophia, are you trying to steal my deal?" I smiled and shook my head. "Mr. Ethan, didn't you do the same thing? I remember you called it fair competition. Why is it stealing when I do it? Or are you a sore loser, Mr. Ethan?" Ethan's eyes blazed. He took a deep breath, suppressed his anger, and chuckled to Mr. Hayes. "I'd also like to see Ms. Vance's perfect solution and meet her more professional team." I used half an hour to successfully steal Mr. Hayes' deal, worth hundreds of millions. Ethan looked at me in disbelief. "How could you possibly get the AG team to do this project?" I looked at him as if he were an idiot. "Ethan, how dare you say you love me? You don't even know what I did during my 3 years abroad, do you?" I had spent 3 years earning the favor of an internationally renowned mentor. I participated in many well-known projects with the AG team and became quite famous in the industry abroad. But, while claiming to love me, only indulged in his philandering and never paid attention to what I was doing overseas. Otherwise, he wouldn't have lost so badly. He truly thought I, a spoiled heiress, had only gone abroad for a few years to get a degree and relax. Ethan immediately searched on his phone, and his expression changed slightly. There was plenty of news about me on foreign websites, and photos of me with my mentor and the AG team were easily searchable. I didn't want to say anything more to him because I saw Marcus getting out of his car and walking towards me. "Sophia, how did it go?" I linked my arm with his. Of course, it was a resounding success. "Let's go get something to eat." Marcus lovingly ruffled my nose. "All right, what do you want to eat?" "I'll make a reservation." I swallowed. "I want to eat your gourmet chicken soup." He had made it for me a few days ago, and I couldn't stop thinking about it. He chuckled. "Princess, that takes all afternoon to make. I'll make it for you in a couple of days. Today, how about I make you something else?" I smiled and nodded. "All right, as long as it's your cooking. I'll love it." We walked along, talking as if no one else was around. "Sophia!" A furious roar came from behind. Marcus and I both turned around to see Ethan, his face dark, his fist swinging. Marcus pulled me behind him and also swung a fist at Ethan. "Marcus, you want to die? Sophia is my wife." "Not tomorrow." Neither of them backed down, their fists mercilessly striking each other. I was stunned for a moment before rushing over to separate them. They stopped. Marcus, I will not divorce Sophia. Give up now. Marcus was about to lunge at him again, but I held him back and said to Ethan, Ethan, I hope that even if you can't be a good husband, at least you can be a responsible father. Ethan's eyes were full of fury. Did you tell David and Susan about Stella's pregnancy? I looked at him coldly. Ethan, I don't care about your business, and you shouldn't care about mine. Do you really want us to be enemies until we die? Ethan looked a bit helpless and somewhat flustered, remaining rooted to the spot. I linked my arm with Marcus's, and we got into the car and drove away. The next day, I arrived at the county's office on time. Ethan, accompanied by uncle and aunt, arrived punctually, his face dark. The divorce certificate was successfully obtained. Uncle and aunt kept holding my hand, saying they were sorry. I gently pulled my hand away and waved goodbye to them politely. Uncle, aunt, I wish you and your family peace, happiness, and prosperity. Marcus came over, nodded to uncle and aunt, and, taking my arm, helped me into the car. Once in the car, he silently started the engine and drove away. I was a little puzzled, unsure what was wrong with him. He had been perfectly fine when he dropped me off earlier. Marcus. I wanted to say something to break the silence, but he turned on the stereo, and music flowed through the car, swallowing my words. Fortunately, after driving for 2 or 3 minutes, he pulled over outside a small park. I became even more confused. But based on my years of trust and understanding of him, I followed him out of the car and into the small park. Just inside the park was a small lake, filled with red roses. I instantly understood. Marcus was already kneeling before me, holding a ring. Sophia, will you marry me? My eyes widened. How can you do this? Marriage is a tomb, and I just stepped out of it, and you want me to step back in? Marcus looked at me with tender affection. Then let's start with marriage in mind. Will you be my girlfriend? He had moved into the house next door to mine recently, and he took care of all my meals. My stomach had been completely won over by him, but I still retained a little bit of my composure. Let's be clear, even if we get married, I won't do any housework or cooking. He beamed, quickly slipping the ring onto my middle finger. We'll have a housekeeper for chores, and I'll do the cooking. You just relax and be a princess for life. Marcus and I transitioned from siblings to boyfriend and girlfriend in just half a day. That evening, after dinner at his place, I thought I was just helping him put the dishes in the kitchen, but he pinned me against the kitchen counter and kissed me until I was breathless. He helped me catch my breath, then teased me. Sophia, you're 24 years old and you don't even know how to kiss. My face flushed, and I used my lips to silence him. Our relationship progressed rapidly. Our parents were already good friends, and now, our families became even closer. The family, however, grew completely distant from both our families because of this incident, and never publicly apologized to David and Susan or me. I no longer held out hope for that. Anyway, Ethan and I were successfully divorced, and his affairs had nothing to do with me anymore. Marcus and I quickly reached the stage of discussing marriage. Our families talked it over and planned to have the wedding by the end of the year. One late night, I was woken by a phone call. Sophia, I love you. Let's get remarried. It was Ethan, drunk and tearful. Marcus leaned closer. Ethan, don't mess with a friend's wife. I'm giving your own words back to you. Marcus hung up the phone, then rolled over and held me tight. A few more days passed, and Marcus and I went to register our marriage. Coincidentally, we ran into Ethan and Stella, who were also there to register theirs. Marcus and I both said to Ethan in unison, "What a coincidence." Ethan looked haggard, though it had only been a little over a month. He appeared much older. He stared fixedly at Marcus and my intertwined hands, then forcefully dragged Stella, whose abdomen was slightly rounded, and, looking fierce, rushed into the county's office ahead of us. It was as if he wasn't going to get married, but to collect a debt. Ethan and Stella registered their marriage first. I smiled at them. I wish you both happiness. I had truly let go of him, he no longer mattered to me. Ethan glared at me. Cut the fake sympathy. Marcus put his arm around my shoulders. Darling, it's our turn. From now on, we avoid crazy people like the plague. After and I registered our marriage, we held a grand wedding ceremony. After the wedding, we traveled abroad. After enjoying our trip and arriving back home, we were surprisingly surrounded by reporters at the airport exit. Ms. Vance, what are your thoughts on your ex-husband, Mr. Ethan, kicking his new wife at their wedding, causing a miscarriage? A miscarriage? Marcus and I exchanged bewildered glances. I apologize, we were traveling abroad and haven't been following the news back home. A reporter then explained the situation to us. At Ethan's wedding today, his father-in-law and Michael got drunk and started making a scene in front of the guests. They claimed Mr. Ethan had ruined his daughter's prime years and demanded at least half of Hayes for their young family to compensate for Stella's losses. Mr. Ethan's face immediately darkened, and he got into a physical fight with his father-in-law and Michael right there. Mrs. Stella went to break up the fight, but Mr. Ethan lashed out with a kick he couldn't retract, which landed squarely on her stomach. She bled profusely and was rushed to the hospital, where she lost the baby. I was utterly shocked. Marcus and I exchanged a look, and then I spoke. Hearing this news, Marcus and I are both deeply saddened. Furthermore, this is Mr. Ethan's private matter, and it's not appropriate for outsiders like us to comment or respond. We hope Mr. Ethan can mourn his loss and move forward. Marcus's bodyguards created a path through the reporters, allowing us to leave safely. After our honeymoon, Marcus and I were busy with our own work during the day, but at night, we couldn't get enough of each other's company and were always together. Vance's business saw a profit increase of nearly 30% after I took over for 4 months. And I were informed by the doctor that in 8 months, we would be parents. As we came out of the consultation room, we ran into Uncle and Aunt, whom we hadn't seen in a while. They both looked haggard and exhausted and noticed the prenatal checkup manual in our hands. Aunt's eyes immediately welled up. Marcus and I invited them to sit down at the coffee shop across the street. It was then we learned that Ethan had divorced Stella, giving her 10% of Hayes' shares as settlement, but was still relentless and caused a scene at the company, claiming Ethan had caused the death of his nephew. The two of them were arguing loudly at the entrance of Hayes when Michael pushed Ethan. Ethan hit his head on the stone pillar at the entrance and immediately lost consciousness. After being rushed to the hospital, he was diagnosed with a fractured skull and nerve damage to the brain. The best-case scenario for recovery was memory loss and decreased cognitive function. The worst-case scenario was remaining in a coma, in a vegetative state. Aunt wiped away tears as she spoke. Sophia, you were such a good person. Ethan was blind to choose such a toxic person. I didn't respond. Even at this point, she still blamed others. Marcus offered them a few words of comfort, then we stood up to leave. After some time, Aunt came to Marcus and me again, crying and pleading. Marcus, Sophia, if you have time, could you please go see Ethan? We ultimately softened and went with Aunt to the Hayes family home. Ethan was wearing comfortable loungewear, quietly sitting among a pile of Legos, building with them. Ethan, look who came to visit you. Ethan lifted his head and stared fixedly at Marcus and me. Then, with a puzzled and disappointed expression, he asked his mother, Mom, weren't you going to get Marcus and Sophia to play with me? Why did you bring these adults here? Faced with such a situation, would you choose to forgive or retaliate? Let me know your answer in the comments. Backhand index pointing down, subscribe to the channel, and we'll continue in the next episode.